Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for waiting and for joining us this evening. I will be your host, as always, Callum here from EnglishShooting. If this is the first time watching, don't forget to like and also subscribe. We do this every single week. This is the EnglishShooting live stream where we cover all the previous week's news and topics, not just here in the UK, or that's what we try to focus on, internationally as well. And for all you regulars, you know what the deal is. You have that chat box. If you want to get involved, if you want to have your thoughts and opinions heard, open up discussions, then please feel free. I try to answer as many questions and pick up as many topics that you guys want to bring up as possible. So yes, it's been an interesting week. It's actually been a fairly busy week for myself, having been out to Northern Ireland, to Nizza, to shoot 4-bore handguns. Of course, that's the only place in the UK that you can go and do that. More on that later. The big news is some more threats of bans or further restrictions. We knew that Plymouth was going to produce something like this sooner rather than later, or sooner or later, whatever, and a bill has been put in front of the House of Commons for consideration. We've also got the continuation of firearms licensing departments shutting up shop and no longer accepting new grants for applications, which is a massive blow to the sport. If people can't get their certificates, if they can't get their own guns, they can't fully take part in this sport. We've also had the continuation of Devon and Cornwall seizing firearms for seemingly no reason at all, and things have escalated once again, with actually one of the people accusing the police of falsifying evidence, downright lying to them and not following the procedures at all. We've also got more 3D printed firearms seized over in Australia. Still find it funny that I was laughed at about 3-4 years ago when I said, look, this is only going to become a bigger and bigger issue, and people go, no, it's fine, what are you talking about? You know, the guns that 3D printers print aren't doing anything at all. They don't work, they just explode in your hand. Well, we had one over in, I think it was Spain, a 3D printed factory shut down. We've had the first conviction here in the UK more recently of the first 3D printed firearm seized, and now in Australia. And the big world news, of course, with the war in Ukraine, that is having wide effects on the shooting sports industry and community. I know that's in the scheme of things with what's going on, not a big point, but we will get on to that later. But yes, let's get straight in to the main topic, which I know is going to worry a lot of people. Actually, before we start, again, don't forget to hit that like button. It's completely free. It makes a huge difference to the channel. We're all about reaching new people, getting new people into the sport, and by engaging with the streams, with the videos, by commenting, by liking, by subscribing, that really does help. So it takes a second, just click it for me, please. So yes, the Firearms and Hate Crime Bill. Let's just talk about the name straight away. I think it's absolutely horrendous, actually quite disgusting, that once again, not only are we having a bill that is primarily directed at firearms, but it's lumped in with something else. We saw this with the offensive weapons bill, with further restrictions for acid, with the zombie knives. And then, oh yeah, and we want to sort of ban some new firearms. But look, you know, we want to stop people from throwing acid in each other's face, you know, so that's good, right? So we should just pass everything. Ignore the firearms. They're just tagged on. So that's annoying, to say the least, again, to see that it's been tagged in with something else, because it tries to almost sneak it under the radar. I mean, with the name being called the Firearms and Hate Crime Bill, not so much under the radar. Offensive weapons bill was a little bit more sneaky, but the fact that they have combined it with something like hate crime, just in the name, having that association of firearms and hate crime bill together, I think is very purposeful. It again gives the negative connotations to firearms. It's just like, you know, it's associating hate crimes with firearms, and again sort of wants to sell us down that sort of river. So what is it? As the stream says, the banning of pump action rifles and shotguns. It's not suggesting an outright ban. It is more of a backdoor ban, effectively making it so difficult or so arduous to own pump action rifles and shotguns here within the UK that no one would do it. Now, this has been introduced by an MP, and that is MP Luke Pollard, who, no surprise, is the MP that covers the Keyham area. Keyham is where the Plymouth shooting took place, and the long and the short of it really is it's a bit of virtue signalling from him, and I think actually more disgustingly, this is an attempt of him to get some headlines. It's an attempt for him to actually boost his own career and boost his publicity, because a lot of what he's proposing within this bill either is just absolute garbage or it's already in place. So it's a case of look at me, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make the world a better place. I don't have any clue about firearms. These are going to be completely ineffective, but I'm going to get my name in all of these newspapers and boost my profile. And that's what it really boils down to. The main points of these bills, and these are sort of like the highlights, if you can call it the highlights of it. Where did it go? I opened it up earlier and now it's disappeared. I love being prepared and having notes and then closing that tab and then having to scroll through and find them. Just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. It's four main areas of sort of contention within this bill. The first one, it's not a banning of pump action or pump action rifles or pump action shotguns. It's to prohibit people from keeping them at home. This has been something that has been discussed many times, and there are multiple faults with it. First of all, why specifically pump actions? Okay, it was a Section 2. For those of you that don't know, a Section 2 gun within the UK, a shotgun certificate shotgun is restricted to 2+1, so 2 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. A Section 2 shotgun also can't have a detachable magazine, and this is why we get the 2+1 phrase. So they're already restricted shotguns, and this is what was used in the Plymouth shooting. It was a restricted capacity pump action shotgun. So okay, 5 people have been killed with a pump action shotgun. It's just stereotypical cliche. That's the gun that we need to ban. No mention of semi-autos, right? No mention of Section 1 unrestricted shotguns, box-fed shotguns, even semi-auto rifles and things like that. It is specifically the gun that was used there. To break it down, and this might get a little bit callous and a little bit too logical for something that is so emotional. At the end of the day, 5 people lost their lives out of this. It is an incredibly emotive subject, and of course the victims should come first and foremost in our thoughts. But the timeline of the events on Plymouth was that, including the guy himself, the guy responsible for the shooting, a total of 6 people that were shot, it happened over 6 minutes. Now, obviously, MP Pollard, I think it is, he completely has no understanding at all of firearms in the UK. But of course, you guys will probably instantly say, well, okay, 6 people in 6 minutes, you could do that with a single shot hammer shotgun. You could do that with a single shot 2.2 bolt action rifle. You could do that with an air rifle, right? It's not, I think this is actually it's a very interesting case which sort of demonstrates it's really not about the gun. It's not about the type of gun, the capacity of the gun, what features the gun has. It was somebody going absolutely batshit crazy, losing their mind and going on a killing spree. 6 people in 6 minutes. That could have quite easily have happened with a machete, with a knife, with a car. Actually, really, 1 person per minute, you could do a lot more damage with other instruments other than firearms. So it just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to go specifically after the pump actions. I know some of you may be thinking, well, hang on a minute, didn't they ban pump action rifles here within the UK? Aren't they Section 5? Well, you can have a pump action rimfire gun, 2.2 rimfire, so he wants to club those in, even though they weren't used. No rifle was used at all. Again, it was a 2+1 pump action Section 2 shotgun. So he's proposing that they are banned, that both the rifles and the shotguns are banned from being kept at home. Again, what is that going to achieve? Somebody that has a shotgun certificate that can go out and buy as many Section 2 shotguns as they want, over and unders, side by side, single shots, pump actions, semi-auto. Like, oh, okay, I've just gone batshit crazy. I don't have a pump action shotgun in my safe anymore, but I've got a semi-auto, I've got an over and under, I've got a side by side. What does it actually solve? The other issue is security. Now, they are proposing that you would keep the guns in or at an RFD, at a gun shop or a club. Now, an RFD isn't so much of an issue because the security within a registered firearms dealer is going to be so much better. But in the case of keeping something at a club, you then create a very sort of dense population of guns in one armory. It makes it a very attractive target for criminals. The payoff for them when there are huge amounts of guns stored in one location can be absolutely huge, and many police forces, many FEOs and firearms licensing departments have said multiple times that they want to avoid a lot of guns being stored in a singular location. This bill would create that very attractive treasure chest of, or cache of firearms for criminals to go after. It's a very high reward for the high risk. This is why criminals breaking into individuals' homes to go after their personal safes isn't really that much of an attractive proposition. On average, I think there's, each certificate holder on average has around 2 guns here in the UK. So they're likely to get 2 firearms and risk a serious amount of prison time in doing so. When you have a big collection of guns, you can end up with potentially hundreds of guns for the same potential prison time. So it increases the reward while maintaining the same risk for them, and again makes it a lot more attractive to them. The other proposition is to have medical markers on your medical records if you are a firearms owner. Well, we already have that. And this is where you, not just because he's only focusing on pump actions and not semis, but this is where you really start to see that Mr. Luke Pollard MP has absolutely no understanding of what the current laws are. Medical markers are already on your medical record. You will already have a marker there. Even prior to the new statutory guidance coming in place, if you have a certificate, if you have applied for a firearms license, there will be a marker that the GP will be able to see when they look on your medical records. The fact that he's just proposing that shows that he doesn't understand that's already in place and really isn't educated to be proposing bills. We then have the last point that he really, of course, there's all the hate crime stuff. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm pretty much just focusing on the firearms aspect of this bill. There is the disclosure of mental health issues for certificate holders. Again, something that is already in place. If you have mental health issues when you apply for a firearm certificate or shotgun certificate, it will get flagged up. If you develop mental health issues whilst you are a firearm certificate holder, it should get flagged up. And I say should because this was one of the massive failings that led to the Plymouth shooting. And once again, we come round full circle. No matter where they want to try and stick the blame for this shooting, at the end of the day, it was a crazy individual that went and killed 5 other people. You can't legislate against crazy. You can try it as much as you want. If someone... I've only got one Tesla. What happened to the other one? I just realised that it's tucked in. Anyway, I deject. If someone decides to go crazy, you can't legislate that. You can't. It's the same argument with cars, with petrol, with a baseball bat, golf clubs, with knives. Like we saw something recently, I think it was in Manchester shopping centre, where a guy literally went into Wilko, bought a 10-inch kitchen knife, stood outside the shop, pulled it from the blister packaging, and then went on a slashing spree. You can't legislate against that. You cannot prevent something like that. However, the things that are in place that have been proven and do work to prevent mentally unwell people from getting hold of firearms here in the UK is the current guidance and the current law, which is if somebody does develop mental health issues, if somebody has accusations made against them, say of assault, if they are arrested, if they are, I don't know, receiving anger management classes, that is flagged instantly to the police, to firearms licensing, or it should do, and the certificates should be taken away until all of that is sorted out. And this is exactly what happened in Plymouth. We all know it was a gross failing of the firearms licensing department. You had the mother of the guy responsible for this shooting phoning the police, phoning the NHS, pleading with them to take away his certificates, pleading with them for help. They did nothing. He had 2 arrests, or certainly 2 investigations because of an allegation of assault. They took away his certificates. He was still receiving anger management classes, and they gave it back to him. They also failed to look on his social media. When this all broke, it didn't take me very long to find this guy's YouTube channel, to find this was the evening that it happened, before no one really knew a thing that was going on, and yet you could find his YouTube videos. Some incredibly worrying and concerning content on there, yet that was not picked up. The real issue here isn't that there is more legislation required, there isn't more statutory guidance required to come in place. What needs to happen is firearms licensing need to follow the rules. Now, I'm not saying that they're all as bad as Devon and Cornwall, but in specifically Devon and Cornwall's case, they did not follow the guidance. They did not follow procedure. They handed back someone's certificates where there were multiple red flags, and it unfortunately led to this shooting. If Luke Pollard MP really wants to do his constituents a favour, really wants to help them heal from this and feel safer, he needs to turn his attention to firearms licensing within Devon and Cornwall. Because not only have we seen a complete mishandling within this one case leading to the shooting, they are continuing to not follow procedure, not follow guidance, and have gone completely the other way. Instead of not following it, allowing people who shouldn't have guns to have guns, then they've now switched it into overdrive, and they are taking away firearms left, right, and centre. Which sort of, it's a segue. Whilst this is an add-on to the main subject or the main topic, there is an incredibly worrying story yet again coming out of Devon and Cornwall. We've seen a multitude of seizures, and we talked about this the other week, that they're not actually seizures. A lot of they're voluntary surrenders, but they are presented to people as seizures. we are here to take your guns. Well, no, and this is the advice that I gave the other week, which is if you're in that situation where they say, we are here to take your guns, you need to ask them very specifically, are you here to seize? Are you here to revoke my certificates, or are you asking me to voluntarily surrender them? Because they are very different things. However, in a story from Field Sports Britain, where these couple of guys, title of the video, I'd recommend going and watching it. So it's on the Field Sports channel, YouTube channel. Police seize guns from 2 shooting friends. This guy here, I didn't have time today to really make notes of the particulars of the names of them, but this guy here basically had police turn up and they were like, we're here to take your guns. He says that they were actually quite pushy, quite intimidating, and they certainly made it seem like they were there to seize them, they were there to revoke, rather than a voluntary surrender. He was able to actually get his guns whilst they were taken away and put into sort of police storage. He was able to get his mate, who went and got a variation to be able to own all of his guns, to go get the necessary slots, get the right paperwork, to then go and take them back from the police. As soon as he goes and takes his friend's guns, they take his certificates as well. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, what are they actually playing at? To add to this, the first guy that had them taken away had it so that the police were refusing to give him a receipt. At the end of the day, even if you have your licenses revoked, the firearms that you have legally purchased while in possession of a firearm and or shotgun certificate are legally your property. Yes, the police have the powers to be able to take them away from you in terms of take a possession away from you, but they're not allowed to take ownership away from you. That is your property. They didn't give him a receipt. They didn't want to. They said, we don't have to. He ended up having to go to the police station and literally stand there saying, I'm not leaving until I have a receipt for my property. In and amongst this, they got him to sign something that was agreeing to a voluntary surrender. So he sort of wised up to this and thought, hang on a minute, you know, I haven't had a revocation letter. I haven't been told this is a revocation. It's been presented to me as such. And then when he's presented with this this note, which is basically confirming that he has voluntarily surrendered, he's sort of gone, no. Very, very sneaky. And what he actually says to Charlie is he believed that they have tried to fabricate evidence. They have tried to twist and bend the truth to suit them. So something, with this, with the events that led to the Plymouth shooting, something seriously needs to happen with firearms licensing in Devon and Cornwall. And again, if the MP for that area really wants anything good, anything beneficial to come out of that shooting, it's that there needs to be a reform, or at the very least better funding and controls over firearms licensing. At the end of the day, there is still no performance measurement for firearms licensing department. It is incredibly difficult to complain about them or to somebody about them. There are no mechanisms that really support anybody experiencing difficulties with them. So they need to be able to be held to account, and they probably do need some more funding. This is also something else that was brought up with this bill, that they want to look at a full cost recovery for firearm and shotgun certificates. I think the figures that I've seen previously are that it's £200 to £300 cost for a certificate. At the end of the day, whilst I don't want to see any more barriers brought into place or for it to be any more expensive or any more difficult, talking at it from a personal note, if they made the application fee £300, like I'm not going to like lose sleep over it. Over the 5-year period that a certificate is valid, that's 60 quid a year. That works out to £2, not £2 a month, £6 a month. You know, you think about the amount of shooting that you do, the club membership that you may have, the organizational memberships you have, the insurance that you may have. Is it £6 a month? No, £300. It would be £60 a year. £5 a month. It's very late. I think I just burnt out. That was too big a rant. I think I just need to breathe. Yeah, like £5 a month. So no, I don't want them to go to £200 or £300, but if that is what is going to prevent, if that's what is going to make people happy, and we're not going to see these bans, and people can stop using this argument of, you know, oh, you cost us money. Well, so does football, right? It costs the police millions of pounds a year to police football matches. Where's the cost recovery there, right? It's members of the public either spectating or taking part in a sport. We are still members of the public. We like to take part in the sport. There is a cost to it. You know, like horses. Do horses pay road tax? No, cheeky beggars. They get away with it. Look, where's the cost recovery with horses? You know, there's loads of things you could go after cost recovery, but that's why we pay taxes. That's why we pay 20% VAT on our firearms, on our ammunition, on our club memberships. Some of them maybe, depends if they're commercial or not, but you get the gist, right? We've worked it out before. There is far more tax generated from the shooting community and firearms owners here in the UK than there is ever a cost. However, I have been saying for the past few months, there is a lot of whispers. There's been a lot of chatter, you know, about increasing the fee. I think that is absolutely inevitable. We are going to see the increase. Breathe. The good news, although good news, like it's a bit of hearsay. The good news on this bill, are we going to see this bill come into effect? Are we going to see the prohibition of shotguns, pump action shotguns and pump action rifles from being stored at home? I think overall it's highly unlikely, because it doesn't make a lot of sense, because there are quite a key number of errors and obvious misunderstandings of our current laws and current procedures. It's sort of like a cobbled together, again, I need to get something, I need to get my name in the paper, I need to show my constituents that I'm doing something, which again makes it like even more disgusting that he's doing it. I think it's quite clear and obvious that's what he's doing it for. He's literally using a mass shooting for his own political or career gain. I mean, maybe you should join the gun control, right? Because that's their modus operandi. So no, I don't think it will go through, or it certainly won't go through in the current form. And we've also seen, I know a lot of people have been throwing this link at me. Basque have also come out and said something very, very similar. Bill to restrict pump actions will not become law, says Basque. Now, this is Basque saying it, this is me saying it, doesn't mean that we've got a crystal ball and we absolutely can give a guarantee on what's going on. But what they're saying is that there is no further parliamentary time to debate it, and the bill will fall at the end of the session in May. I mean, doesn't stop them from revisiting it, doesn't stop them from bringing in another bill, it doesn't stop them from, trying something at a later date. Basque is very hot on the political aspect. They are very attuned and have their ear to the ground and a lot of expertise, certainly a lot more expertise than I do when it comes to the ins and outs of Parliament. So I'm going to take that at face value, that it's certainly going to be harder for him to, or Mr. Luke Pollard MP, to get this bill passed, and that's what Basque is saying overall. You can see here, Basque's main point, which echoes what I've been saying, the failure of Devon and Cornwall Firearms Licensing Department and the lack of communication between the health service and the police are the key matters to be addressed. And this, I'm going to digress from this in a sec, but the full details of these should be available once the independent Office of Police Conduct investigation and the inquest are concluded. This is one of, again, the main things of why the bill shouldn't go anywhere, but also it's not been made out of logic, it's not been made out of expertise and understanding. The first sort of news break that I saw of this story was this link here, and this is a direct quote from Mr. Pollard MP. I want to see changes in gun laws informed by the evidence from the inquest and police investigation. So I can't disagree with that. At the end of the day, if they have this inquest, if they have this inquiry, and they find something wrong, they find something absolutely catastrophic that if they changed it, it would have all been prevented, or there's a massive black hole within our laws or licensing system where things are slipping through the net, and there could be something that could be brought in that will prevent the loss of life, then absolutely we should look into that based on the evidence. If the evidence of the inquest comes out with anything other than the Devon and Cornwall Firearms licensing department fucked up, then I will lose complete faith in the whole system. There's a lot of you probably sat there going, why haven't you lost faith already? There's been a number of things where you could already lose complete faith. But I don't know. I'm an internal optimist, really. That is what I am confident the police findings are, or the inquest findings are going to show. That procedure and guidance wasn't followed, that firearms licensing in Devon and Cornwall absolutely dropped the ball. It doesn't have anything to do with our current laws. It doesn't have anything to do with what you can own at home, what you can own in general, or how many guns, or this, that, and the other. It should show that it was a complete failing by the firearms licensing department. Let's just remember that at the moment there have been no findings. There's been nothing released. There's been no evidence, no reaction, no findings from these inquiries. Yet we have Mr. Luke Pollard MP proposing a bill. What is he proposing a bill based on? As somebody has been quoted, I want to see changes in gun laws informed by the evidence from the inquest and police investigation. Well, he quite clearly doesn't. He's cherry-picked a few buzzwords. He's created this sexy bill that he can try and promote himself with and put it forth. This isn't based on fact. It's not based on evidence. And it should really just be chucked straight in the bin. If you want to learn more about the bill, about Mr. Luke Pollard, then I do have a video on the EnglishShooting Facebook page. So go on to Facebook, type in EnglishShooting, look for the black and white ES Shooty logo, and scroll down. You'll find the full sort of proposal of this bill within the House of Commons, where he goes into detail. I give you 2 minutes before you're raging. Like, I literally, within a minute, my jaw was on the floor going, I can't fucking believe he's saying this. Within 2 minutes, it was a good job I was doing a bit of DIY today, a bit of lump hammering, chiseling, all this sort of stuff, because it really did let me relieve that anger. It's absolute bollocks that this guy was coming out with in the House of Commons, completely unchallenged, and a lot of the MPs, ban firearms, yes, just complete devoid of logic or any sort of intelligence. But if you want to see the full speech that he does, head over to the EnglishShooting Facebook page. You'll be able to see that video on there. There is a second reading of this bill on Friday the 18th of March. I will be looking out for that. I'll be trying to cover it and relay anything to you guys of any importance. But let's hope that Bask is right. Let's fingers crossed that it isn't going to go anywhere. At the end of the day, we're not losing guns, but how many people are just going to sell up shop? How many people are just going to give up their pump actions? Because if you have to go to an RFD every time to go and pick them up, if you have to go via a club to go and pick them up, I mean, how does it work when you go and shoot competitions? At the end of the day, my main focus is practical shooting and practical shotgun. standard manual shooters, pump action shooters, the pump action division, how is that going to work? Well, first of all, they can't train at home anymore. And if they go to a match, well, sometimes we can be away at a match for 3-4 days. So, oh yeah, you can't store them at home, but you can go and book them out from your RFD, drive up to Scotland and sleep in a hotel room with it for 4 days. Like, it just absolutely nonsensical. Anyway, that is in a nutshell the bill, what was proposed. As much information as I think I can remember about it, but again, go and check out the English Shooting Facebook page if you want to learn more about it. I'm sure there are going to be other things that I remember in a minute, so we will probably revisit this within the stream, but there are other topics that I do want to touch on, and there was actually something else to do. Oh yes, as much as I've been giving Basque a lot of praise recently, that there has to be a bit of Basque bashing in a sec, but I'll get on to that. But again, don't forget, if you're enjoying this stream, if you're finding it useful to keep up to speed with all the news and topics, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed. As I keep saying, we do this every single week, every Thursday, 7:30 PM on the channel. Yeah, subscribe and you'll be able to see every time we go live, and hit that like button because it makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and again, it helps beat the YouTube algorithm. You probably hear that all the time, not just from me, but other channels that you watch, and it really does make a huge difference. It ends up popping videos up in front of people the more likes there are. So it's free, like, it doesn't cost you anything, it won't hurt you, just hit it. So yes, I have been seeing the chat going absolutely crazy. You guys, this is obviously quite a hot topic, so I really appreciate you guys getting involved and commenting. It's a little. I'm literally just scrolling through it now. I literally don't know how to where to start. Just a hot tip. If you want to directly aim a comment at me, good or bad, then use the @. If you use @EnglishShooting, it actually glows. It glows like a yellow at me. It highlights it yellow in the chat. So if there's any specific questions, I know you guys like to have sort of little chats within the chat amongst yourselves. But if there is anything specific, questions or any points you want me to sort of read out, or anything you think I've missed, then use the @ and it will shine up, and it's a hell of a lot easier for me to see. Jake, hi Callum, sorry to go off subject. Do you have any more updates on the Magload potential new trigger for the 1522 we discussed over the phone a few weeks ago? Love your channel. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. New trigger for the 1522. Maybe it was Connors you spoke to, and a trigger has been on the list to do for a while. There's nothing. There's not a huge. There's nothing sort of in development at the moment. The big, and I hate saying it because we're just gonna get emails and messages of when it's going to be ready. It's coming soon, I promise. There's a new magazine coming out, which will be compatible with the 1522. It will be a 33 round magazine in total, made completely by Magload. Toughened feed lips. It's screwed so you can take it apart and clean it and all that. We are just finalizing the design with the injection molders. We are hoping to be giving the go ahead for production within the next week or two. There will be other time after that because they need to make it. We need to get it in. We need to assemble them and final test them all. But yeah, it's coming soon. But in terms of trigger, I don't recall saying anything specifically about a trigger. But yes, Jake. Oh, Jake, you used my hot tip and you're going for it. Firing pin. Okay, not trigger. Yes, literally about to be released. So as with the CMMG pin, we are supplying a new spring with it. that is going to be, I think, specific to our pin, or it's certainly an upgrade over the standard pin. The firing pins are machined, they are made, they are sat ready to go out for the 1522. We are just waiting for delivery of the springs to go with them, and then we will be releasing the product. So we are talking, maybe a week or two until the new the 1522 firing pins are released. So just keep an eye out on the Magload Facebook page, or keep an eye out on magload.co.uk, and you'll be able to see them pop up when they pop up. How much? They will be the same. You would think, owning part of the company, like I would know product prices off the top of my head, but I don't. They will be the same price as the CMMG firing pins, which I'm just looking. I believe they will be the same price. I think they will be the same price. Connors is going to kill me. $24.99. The CMMG pins are $24.99, and I believe the Smith & Wesson pins will be $24.99 as well. R&T, so it's unlikely that we will see further restrictions according to Basque, and they are fighting it. Yes, that said that Basque don't think that this bill is going to sort of come to fruition or go any further. Fingers crossed. We are going to see changes. Don't think that this is it. This is their attempt and it's going to go away. What I think really helped us is that we had that new statutory guidance come into place. And the politicians, in terms of seen to be doing something, that was already going to come into place, and they could, oh shit, we've got something, right? We look, we've done this. Oh, we're so great. We did this so quickly, and most of the public just didn't know the difference, and just, oh yeah, look, that was quick. Usually it takes years. Yeah, we were working on it for 3 years, but look, we got it in like a few months. I think that statutory guidance will really, really save us. They've made changes. It's going to be very hard to then make additional changes, because it's like, well, we've already just made changes. We need to see if that affects anything first, and then, give it a trial period and see where we go. What I'm sticking to is that we are absolutely going to see a fee increase. I don't know what it's going to be. I would hope that it's not going to double or triple, which a lot of people are calling for. The £200-300 full cost recovery. I don't think we're going to see it go to that. I can see it going up maybe. Well, what's a coterminous now? 90 quid. I could see it going up to around 120 to 150. I know that's still a chunk of money, but again, over 5 years, what does that work out to? £75, £30 a year. So, £2 a month. When you break it down like that, it's not necessarily prohibitive. It's another addition. When you've got to buy a safe, you've got to pay for a GP form, you've got to buy your first gun, your ammunition, your club membership. Yes, another 150 quid on top is a bit of a kick in the dick, but I don't think we're going to see a massive exodus of shooters. I don't think we're actually going to see a big effect on the application numbers if they increase the fee to 120 to 150 pound. At the end of the day, the price of things go up, right? There is something called inflation. The cost of living goes up, sometimes higher than other points, but fees will increase. Petrol. If you want to get on your high horse and upset and raging at the government about fees, look at petrol. I probably spend more on petrol. No, not so much now that I've got the Volvo. Volvo's very economical. But I don't know, how much do you think you spend on petrol a year, or fuel a year, right? There are months where I could quite easily spend £150 on petrol at today's prices, right? Which would, a few months ago would have been 100 quid's worth. So in the scheme of things, a jump from 90 quid for a coterminous to 120 or 150, the cost of living goes up. Am I going to sit here and moan about it? Probably. But I don't think it's going to be disastrous. Not compared to not allowing pump action rifles or shotgun at home. That is going to have a far bigger effect on the shooting community as a whole. Right. Your bill really isn't hitting the right notes when even the gun control network don't see where you're coming from. Now, this is a much older post, right? But it is in response to the Plymouth shooting, and on the subject of fees and putting the fees up. This is the angle that the gun control has been coming at. Again, we've had these whispers, we've had these talks about increasing the licensing fee, increasing the cost. That is really where the gun control network is. Can you see any mention of banning pump action shotguns? Right? Like, not even the gun control network is suggesting we ban pump action shotguns. Right? That's how silly of an idea it is that even the gun control network isn't asking for it. What they are going for is, of course, the fee increase. So what they're saying, in 2013, the full cost of issuing a 5-year license was estimated by the police to be £200. And with inflation, we might reasonably assume that this has now risen to £250. That's £50 per annum. Great, they can math. So they're estimating £250, but that's an interesting comparison, right? They're saying that between 2013 and now it's gone up 50 quid. They're estimating, which I don't think is actually too unreasonable. I personally can't remember when the fees were last put up, but it was like 4 years ago. But that shows you the cost of things goes up. The cost to firearms licensing has gone up 50 quid. So I think you could probably argue that, maybe it should go up 10 or 20 pound. I know there's a lot of people out there that go, look, it's a requirement. This is for public safety. We have it imposed on us. We shouldn't have to pay a penny. And we've had the recent discussion where I sort of sit on the side of the fence that says, actually, if we pay every single penny we cost the taxpayer, it completely removes that argument. That really puts us in a really strong place to say, fuck off and mind your own business. We take care of ourselves. We cover our costs. Look elsewhere. Simon Richard, thank you. Appreciate the support. Happy you didn't get rid of the Porsche. No, I didn't. Couldn't bring myself to do that. I'm doubtful that even my firstborn child will lead to that. Moving into my own place, and with various, like today, DIY projects planned. I needed an estate. I wasn't going to be doing trips to Wix or Screwfix, although I have actually gone to Screwfix in the Cayman. But I went to Tops Tiles yesterday. And picked up some Hardy Backer. That's not going in the GT4, right? That's just, you can forget that straight away. English Shooting, will Magload ever make 2.2 Magnum AR-15 magazines? And I would rather have a license fee increase than more restrictions. Well, I'm glad in a way that you agree with me, because that's exactly where I'm at. Would rather pay some more than have more restrictions. Maybe that's what we should do. I mean, it's technically bribery, but every time they try to restrict us, we just up the licensing fee and go, like, does that help? I mean, we do it in like £5 increments, so it's going to go up probably 20 quid a year. So will we ever make 2.2 Magnum AR magazines? Never say never. It's not something that's particularly on the agenda, or something that we're really looking into. The market certainly isn't as big as, say, the 2.2 ARs, and 2.2 Magnum magazines are horrendously difficult. That's why I think the largest magazine you can get for one is like 14. They stack horrendously, they feed horrendously. Magload does already make feed lips for the Black Dog magazine. Now, we don't actually sell them. It's an agreement that we have with Guncraft. I always get two Guncraft. I always get Guncraft and Riflecraft confused. I think you can understand why. But Guncraft makes a 22 WMR AR-15 and was having issues with the Black Dog mags and actually asked us to try and help out. Ended up producing the feed lips. So the feed lips are one of the more difficult areas of a magazine. So as we've already got that, there's no reason that we couldn't look at extending magazines and making more. But again, we've got lots of projects on, and obviously at the end of the day, we've got to look at what the biggest market out there is for on these products. You know, the 22 WMR market is tiny compared to, say, 22 rimfire, but never say never. You know, there are other magazines in the works as well. We're getting more and more into magazines. I know we haven't actually released any yet, but there might be, I don't know, a magazine coming out for the K22 or KMR. Just saying. Just saying. Got some working prototypes. Just saying. Don't tell Connors. He'll kill me. I'm going to get loads of phone calls and messages now asking when they're going to be ready. But anyway, they're going to come. They're going to come very soon. Isn't it possible to go the legal route to get gun laws loosened, because that's what's happening in Europe? It's the same thing I say every single time. It's all about numbers. It's about numbers of people, numbers of voters, numbers of people holding certificates and owning firearms. Yes, you can go the legal route. You can lobby. You can you can get MPs to bring further bills into the House to loosen restrictions rather than tighten them. But simply, we don't have the numbers. We don't have the public support. Like Europe is a funny case because it's all sort of done through the European Parliament, where they've actually got enough shooters collectively across the whole of Europe to sort of worry the European Parliament and to grab their attention. At the end of the day, there are 750,000 certificate holders here within the UK. We make up less than 1% of the population, right? MPs aren't particularly worried about 1%. 1% can swing an election, but you know, it's not particularly, you know, firearms and firearms licensing isn't huge on their radar. If we had 10% of the population with certificates, then yeah, that starts to become pretty significant when it comes to voting. Michael Parrott, should I be chasing my FAC application after 6 weeks? Yes. I mean, define chasing. There is absolutely nothing wrong. You shouldn't be afraid of phoning them up and asking what's going on, right? There might be something that there's a hold up that they haven't got round to telling you about, and you phone them up and say, you know, what's going on? Oh, actually, there's this note on your file. We really need this. So yeah, I always say with firearms licensing, be polite, be courteous, be respectful, especially to the person that you're speaking to on the end of the phone. A lot of the people that you're speaking to, they're only effectively receptionists, right? You know, it's very rare that you phone through to firearms licensing and you actually get through to an FEO or even the head of the licensing department. The person on the other end of the phone, they're just doing a job. The last thing they need is you shouting at them down the phone. But yes, sending them an email or calling them saying, look, I've submitted my application, what's going on? They may just look up and actually give you, you know, a bit more information in terms of, look, our current lead times are, 2 months, 6 months, whatever. They might be able to give you a better idea of when you can reasonably expect it. But yeah, the golden rule for me was phoning every 2 weeks. So it's like I have a phrase which is certainly with the civil service, where you either have to make their job hard, you have to make it harder for them not to do their job than to do their job, and then they do their job, or you have to annoy them into doing their job. And I've found, like, with firearms licensing, every 2 weeks is a good balance. It's sort of annoying that they will remember you every 2 weeks, but it's not annoying enough for you to be classed as annoying. So yeah, 2 weeks. I mean, when you start phoning is completely up to you. You can say, 6 weeks could be it depends which county you're in. 6 weeks could be pretty early in some counties. It could be pretty late in some counties. But yeah, I would say, yeah, between a month and 2 months, if you haven't heard anything after putting your application, phoning them. Now, if they tell you, look, it's going to be another 2 months, don't keep phoning them. Wait until that time. The other reason that I got into the cycle of every 2 weeks is because, funnily enough, when I phoned them, they said it's going to be another 2 weeks. And that happened probably about 6 times in a row. So I've just got that sort of that time cycle in my head now. Richard Weston, thank you very much. Much appreciate it. Irish IPA rules. Yes, it does, although I didn't have a chance to try that triple. Can you let me know where you got that beer from? I know it's probably the fridge, but yeah, I would be interested. There was a couple of really nice beers of that. So for a little disclosure, Rich was actually one of the people that we didn't go to Nizza with, but I met up with while we were out in Northern Ireland. A great host. We had a fantastic time while we were out there. I can't go into detail of the other reasons that we were out there. I hope at some point I'll be able to show you a little bit more, because there is some potentially really epic stuff in the future. But yeah, long and the short, I'll touch on the Nizza visit because it was fantastic. I managed to, top Brit while I was out there. I think I came 4th overall in production, which, I mean, out of like 30 competitors, all that pretty much own their own handguns and train regularly, was pretty happy with. And I hadn't touched a handgun in like 3 years. So very happy with that. Nizza was a full day of shooting. We had a competition. We managed, luckily, to get a little bit of training in beforehand, and then did the comp. Then we went and we had the whole afternoon to do some more shooting, and then we also were treated to a very lovely dinner, thanks to Rich, and had a really nice Sunday as well. Very interesting talks and sights and scenes. But yes, Irish IPA does rule. Oh yes, I haven't done the English shooting beer review. This is it's not a BrewDog. It's not a BrewDog, before any of you get arsy about that. It's fodder projects, the fodder projects. Craft lager with plenty going on. It does actually taste more... Well, it is a Pilsner, but it does taste more IPA. It's a good one. I'm actually savouring this one. That one the other day I had, like, that BrewDog infused with mango. Fucking hell. I went down afterwards. I probably had like a quarter left, and I walked in. And the way you do this and how you deliver this is very important if you ever want to catch your other half out. You walked into the living room going, "Have you tried one of these before?" And you've got to say it with that enthusiasm. You've got to be like, "This is the best thing since sliced bread." Holly's like, No. What is it? It's like infused with mango. She sort of gave the look like, that doesn't sound very good. Just say nothing, hand it to her, and even she was, oh fuck, like, put me off beer for that evening. But yeah, thanks again, Richard, for the support, and also again Simon for the support. Mentioned your stream to Kent Defence Store. Cool. Well, if they want to get in touch, I'm always up for collabs. I mean, defense and self-defense and stuff like that, I have to trade lightly. But yeah, they're more than welcome to get in touch, and we can work something out. Hampshire have now said they won't be replying to any new grant queries. Some good news though. I know this isn't necessarily good news for you, Happy, but I have had various people tell me that Hampshire are now processing certificates. So there was a club that has had their FAC renewed, and a number of the club's members that have also had their certificates grant. Oh no, they had their interviews, so they're doing interviews again, but they are processing certificates. So what I can see happening, and of course there is the differentiation between them stopping accepting grants and them not processing grants. Now, at the moment, the way it is with Hampshire is that they aren't even going to review opening up for new grants until I think it's like the 20th of March. So with them doing interviews again and starting to process, what it looks like is happening is they are trying to clear the backlog. They're trying to get on top of things before they open up for new grants. The thing is, though, as soon as they open up for new grants, they are going to have an absolute deluge of certificate applications. And having these peaks and troughs, like, okay, it's not particularly good just letting the pile like mount up, but like, you know, as soon as they open on the 20th of March, bang, they're going to have to like, I give it a week or two and they're going to have to stop accepting grants again. So I know for you, Happy, that you had your your certificate, your application returned. For some reason, mine still hasn't. I'm as shocked and confused as you, like, honestly. I thought that would have been the first one. As soon as the decision was made, right, we're going to start returning grant applications now. Where's Callum's? Yeah, but there it is. Right, get it. First class, special delivery, hand delivery, bang, there you go, return that cunt. You know, it's like, but no, it's probably so buried at this point. It's or it ended up in the bin, like either or the shredder, whatever. Like I am shocked that they didn't return it. Maybe it's because mine has been in there for such a long time at this point. Maybe one day I'll get it. I don't know. Anthony, my application has been in almost 8 months. Yes, that sounds like a long time. I'm not going to say that it's good or isn't bad. Again, it depends. If you're saying Hampshire, actually 8 months is, well, six to 9 months has in the past been pretty standard for Hampshire. I don't know. It does look like Hampshire certainly are clearing up the backlog. A company, another firearms licensing department that also has closed up shop, which is one of the other topics for this evening, is Nottinghamshire. Now, of course, the last live stream was, is firearms licensing close to collapse? And, you know, we talked about very much what that would look like, what would trigger that, why that would happen. And basically, it's in terms of grants, firearms licensing is not going to collapse because they can't process new grant applications. It's going to be if they get a too big a backlog on the renewals. You can't have people out there with certificates, with expired certificates not being checked. You get incidences like Plymouth in that case. And Nottinghamshire, now they haven't said why. I'm sure if they were nailed to a post and asked it, they would blame COVID. Everything's COVID's fault at this point. But they have stopped it. And I think this is because they are struggling with the renewals. They are struggling to do the bare minimum of renewals. And in an attempt to maintain that, to not, in essence, collapse as a firearms licensing department, they have suspended their grant and variation processes from the 1st of March. So, Hampshire seems to be doing it again, doing applications. Nottinghamshire shut up shop. Again, the disparity across the entirety of firearms licensing in the UK is just like it just makes your head spin. There are some firearms licensing departments in the country that are just sort of sat there chilling going, I really don't know what the problem is. Like, we've done variations, we've done grants, we've been on top of renewals, we've got a 2-week turnaround. Why is everybody else finding it so hard, right? But some are. Nitsa, touching on your visit, I don't know why, but I was expecting you to be something like 6 foot. Oh, that one hurt. Well, the camera adds £10 and a foot. you know. Oh no, it's not a foot. I'm not 5 foot. I'm not far off 6 foot. I'm like 5'9" on a good day. Like I think I've said this before. For some reason in my adult life, like up until college, I was one of the tallest in my school, right? And certainly one of the bigger. Like I was a big lad. I'm still very proportioned, but I was definitely more out of proportion in more ways than one. But yeah, I was all like, certainly my friends as well. I was like the tallest out of my friend group, and like, yeah, I certainly wasn't small amongst my peers. And then I don't know what the fuck happened over the summer between school and college. I've been significantly shorter than most of the people I hang out with for a very long time. Connors makes me look like a dwarf. I think again that's the whole proportion thing in that case. But yes, I'm definitely not 6 foot. I'm what's the expression? Small things come in good packages. And it's also great for shooting. Like, you know, Cooper Tunnel, no problem. Daniel. Like, there's never really I'm going to check myself on this one. No, there's never really a situation where being tall is an advantage in shooting. Firstly, I've got a lower center of gravity, better recoil management, and I'm actually pretty light on my feet. So, you know, I can scurry through Cooper tunnels, I can get those low apertures, I can dart about a stage, be fairly nimble, without slipping up bullets and pixels. Just get that one out there. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm resigned. I'm resigned to the fact that I will forever be regarded as short. Oh yeah, and Daniel's going to pipe up about this as well. Of course he is. Yeah, don't hang around with Daniel if you don't want to feel short. Connors is messaging. Oh, I can't believe I didn't put this as a topic tonight. I'm just reminding him of something. It's like my entire existence. Well, there is an Action Air topic on the agenda for this evening, but there's actually a bigger one, which is it's for the same reason. The Action Air World Shoot has been cancelled. Now, I've talked about it before. That's going to be my new Action Air gun, 2011. I can't remember what it's called. I can't touch it and see. I'm not hugely interested in the actual guns themselves. I just like shooting. So I always say, if someone's got a trigger, whether it's a BB gun, air rifle, live fire, whatever, it could be a Canon. Put a trigger on the Canon, I'll pull it. That used to be my old one. Don't buy a Glock for Action Air. Whole world of pain. Glock for full bore shooting, absolutely. I mean, I know they're like Marmite, and some people will say I'm insane, but a 9mm Glock can't go wrong in competition in my mind. PPQ, king of Glocks. Anyway, there's an Action Air World Shoot. For those of you that don't know, with IPSC, you have a level 5 World Shoot. It is like the World Championships within. Well, it's not a championships, but it's the World Shoot. It's the world. Because is that a championship? Well, anyway, it is like the World Cup of shooting in that discipline. So you have a rifle world shoot, which is what we went out to Sweden and filmed. Handgun world shoot, mini rifle world shoot, PCC world shoot. Have I said handgun world shoot? Shotgun world shoot, Action Air world shoot. Now the Action Air world shoot was due to be held April next year in Sochi. So I think you can understand why it got cancelled. For those of you that are piss poor with geography, Sochi is in Russia. It's where it's actually where the Russian Grand Prix was held. So obviously with everything that's going on, and sort of it's not just sort of like Sochi or the Russians themselves that have decided to bin the world shoot. It's the IPSC has excluded the entirety of Russia, and also I think I'll get the right name, Belarus as well. So basically there's Russian competitors and ROs and Belarusians are not allowed to compete within a level 3 to level 5 match, so they're not going to be able to hold the world shoot, and no one's particularly going to want to go to Russia at the moment. So it's a big blow, because Paul Wyborn, who works at Magload, is a top world-class level action air shooter. We have real high hopes for him actually doing very, very well at the next world shoot, and it's already been postponed for too long. So it's just, it could be another few years until he gets to shoot at a world shoot, which will be an absolute travesty. He's also, I think, he's missed out being a junior. I mean, if he was still shooting as a junior, or if it was in time for him to still shoot a junior, not shoot a junior, to shoot as a junior, he would wipe the floor with that category. But it is a real shame. However, the reason I'm saying this is I really think the UK PSA, the GB franchise for IPSC, should be putting a bid forward to hold the Action Air World Shoot. We haven't, I can't remember, when was it? And I'm sure there's loads of you that can tell me within 2 seconds when the Bisley Handgun World Shoot was held. But I have to Google it. 1993. So as far as I'm aware, the last world shoot that Great Britain hosted was in 1993. We're talking nearly 30 years ago. I was 2. Like 30 years. We can't hold the rifle world shoot for obvious reasons. We can't hold the handgun world shoot for obvious reasons. We can't even hold the mini rifle world shoot because they combine it with PCC, pistol caliber carbine, which again are section 5, so for obvious reasons we can't have that. So the only 2 world shoots that we could, with our laws within England, Scotland and Wales, ever actually hold are either the Action Air or the shotgun world shoot. Now the shotgun world shoot is next year, towards the end of the year, and then it will be a year or so or whatever. The whole calendar's mucked up now, but basically we should be putting in shotgun's slightly harder to find a range or facility to do a world shoot at. Of course, we do have a perfect facility called the National Shooting Centre, but Bisley don't like IPSC unless they want to take it for themselves. So that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So really, Action Air, you can hire an events hall. You can, basically a big sports hall. You can hold, within reason, you can hold a world shoot. So if you are a UK PSA member, I mean, think for yourselves, and don't do it because I'm saying it. But I would, if you want to see the UK PSA, to see Great Britain hold the world shoot for Action Air, to see the first world shoot in nearly 30 years on this soil, get in contact with the UK PSA. Drop them an email. I'm not going to give out direct emails because they're going to really hate me for doing that. Message them on Facebook. Message them on. Go through the website and go through the email. It should be, I think it's the RD that's ultimately the guy to sort of get it to. So maybe put for attention of regional director, and if enough of the membership scream at them and go, we want to do this, then they will hopefully very seriously think about doing it. I think it would be fantastic. I think there's actually commercially it could be very good for the organisation, but just for the sport, just to save that world shoot from sort of dissipating into nothing, I think it would be great for them to pick it up and run with it if it's possible. There's loads of things that would need to happen. I think they're all doable. We just have to wait and see. Nitsa, again, thank you for the support. Are you and Connors going to come over for the Glock National Championships in June? I did see that pop up. I have to say, I think it was an email. Let me know actually, I can get my calendar up. unfortunately, I think June is just absolutely incredibly chocked for us. We don't have a free weekend in June. We actually, it's 5 weekends in a row from the end of May. We've got a very, very, very busy year this year. So June, the first weekend we're at CISO. Next weekend we're at the Southern Level 3 mini rifle match. Then we're at a pre-match for the Level 3 Summer Championships Action Air match. And then we're at the Scottish Shotgun Championship at the end of June. So unfortunately, I saw it pop up, and you'll know that I'm a Glock man, or a PPQ man, but they're pretty much the same. That's why I like the PPQ, because I like the Glocks. But they very, very, very similar guns, but the PPQ is slightly better. But yeah, I would absolutely love to, but I really don't think we're going to be able to make it. If it's the same weekend as CISO, with the way things are going in that area of the world at the moment, there's a chance that we might not be going out to CISO. I really hope that isn't the case. We missed enough matches over the last few years. But yeah, if for whatever reason, if a weekend comes available, we will 100% come out and shoot it. I don't think it's going to be possible, unfortunately. Simon Richards, we are a more free country than America. The US government wants to limit the keeping of reptiles across state lines. This is, like, I know it's a really silly example, and don't get me wrong, like, there are elements of American gun laws that I would want here in a heartbeat. But I do, land of the free and the brave and all that. But you park your car facing the wrong way, you'll get it towed. Like, I've said the story before, going out to, I think it was Los Angeles, and I mean, it was my own fault, right? Well, first of all, I didn't know what the whole thing was, but the whole street, everyone was parked one way, and I want to park it this way. Yeah, got like a 60 quid fine for that. I mean, jaywalking, like, land of the free, but you can't be trusted to cross the road. It's like, you can own a minigun. Someone needs to hold your hand walking the road. They don't really, stack up, do they? What else? Oh, yes. So on the back of the whole IPSC and World Shoot, of course, IPSC has banned competitors and ROs from Russia and Belarus from competing in any of level 3 or above matches. So I really like the whole Ukraine situation is something that personally I want to stay well clear of, in terms of a topic, in terms of a discussion. It would get, like, I've had a lot of emails and messages recently about, what do you think about this? Should governments change laws like that? And should we do this? And I'm like, I've got to tread incredibly lightly when anything like that is concerned. What I will say is that don't forget that the NSRA, the National Small Bore Rifle Association, the NRA of the UK, the National Rifle Association, and the UK PSA, the United Kingdom Practical Shooting Association, all within their constitution, is it their constitution or their mission statement, all have for defence of the realm, for efficiency of arms for the defence of the realm. That's why the NSRA and the NRA were created. The UK PSA sort of as well, but it literally says that as part of it's part of the charitable status of these organisations, defence of the realm. So I'll leave you with that nugget. But yeah, I don't want to get too much into it. I mean, we talk about, like, depressing enough topics, like them trying to take away more guns. The last thing I really want to start bringing on here is war. But of course, what is happening out there, I can see it. I'm not gonna. When I say I can see it from both sides, I am not talking about Russia versus Ukraine. When this first started kicking off and all these sanctions started happening, and we started to see it affecting sports. So like F1, right? F1 aren't going to do the race there. I think it's been confirmed that Nikita Mazepin isn't allowed to he's not allowed to compete in Silverstone or in the UK, and I think it's going to be fairly short term until he's told that he's not driving next year. And what I'm on the fence on, what I can see it from both sides, is this affecting sports. On the one hand, people, IPSC competitors are not responsible for this, right? Nikita Mazepin is not responsible for what's going on. These sports people that train incredibly hard, that just want to represent their country, no matter what their country is doing, they are not as much as Ukraine, but they are in a way victim of this. They haven't asked for this to happen. They're not taking part in it. They're not comparable to it. I do, though, understand the whole element of applying pressure to a country and a country's government, and by making the people that have nothing to do with it, other than their nationality is Russian, by applying pressure to them, by making their lives miserable, well, what are they going to do? They're going to turn to their government. They're going to start applying pressure back at their government, going, look, our economy's down the tank. I can't go anywhere. I can't compete. My sporting career could potentially be ruined now. You need to change something. So I understand. And actually, in the scheme of things, yes, an athlete not being able to compete, if it does end up stopping the war, if it does end up applying the right pressure to a government, then in the grand scheme of things, it's worth doing it. But I can see that argument from both sides, and there are some competitors that they are going to miss out on like lifetime goals because their government has decided to do something utterly horrific. But yeah, we're going to see that across the whole of sport and across the whole of shooting sports as well. 3D printed guns. This is a topic, right? That I have seen a couple of people tagging. I've thoroughly looked at a PPQ, and there are huge differences between them and the Glocks. Only thing they have in common is their internal firing mechanism, nothing else. Similar in terms of being a polymer frame, similar in terms of not having a safety, and it's a bladed safety in the trigger, and also the grip angle. Now, the grip angle of the PPQ isn't as Glock as a Glock, but it's certainly a halfway house between a 2011 or a 1911 and a Glock. So I find it a lot easier to switch between a PPQ and a Glock than I do a Glock and a 1911. And also because the PPQ is closer to a 2011 or a 1911, it's less of a pain switching from say a PPQ to a 2011. So I always will pick the PPQ, but when I say they're similar, there are elements to them that makes them closer to another than say other guns, and makes it easier to switch between. The main reasons that I shoot Glock or a PPQ is I hate safeties. It just slows you down. This is my safety, and the Glock was the first gun that I really got any competition experience of, and there is always a Glock. You can fly anywhere in the world, there is always a Glock, right? So as somebody like based here within England, that we can't really be picky about the guns that we go out and shoot. I want to be able to train consistently on the same gun, on the same platform. The PPQ is a lot easier to find now, so I do tend to still focus on the PPQ, but because it's closer to a Glock than sort of anything else, then I find it easier to transfer to a Glock. So if I end up going to a range, they've got Glocks but they haven't got PPQs, I'm not so alien to the gun and the way it operates and the grip and all that. So yes, no, they're not carbon copies, they're not identical, but but you know, they're close enough, right? If you squint. Anthony, stay clear of the Ukrainian situation. Stick to shooting, beers and cars. We haven't talked. Well, no, we have talked about cars. How could watches? We could talk about watches. Yes, I don't want to get into the Ukrainian subject. It's not something. I know people have asked me to do videos on it. Yeah, I'm sure it'd be very interesting. In more ways than one. Yeah, let's focus on the shooting side of firearms ownerships, right? David Kiddle, Glock 17 waiting in Kentucky. Very much looking forward to it. Again, see the way I go. I'm not using a PPQ out there, so I'll be using the Glock. Well, unless I can bribe whoever is using the PPQ with, I don't know, sexual favours. Sort of all I've got to offer, really. And that's not a lot. So 3D printed guns. This is another topic of this evening. Just a reminder, if you've just joined us and wondering what the hell is going on, well, we do this every single week. This is the English Shooting live stream. We do it every single week, half 7 UK time. So if you're enjoying it, hit the like button. Like if you're watching, like I say this every week. If you're watching, you must be liking it. Like although there are things, I don't know, like Luke Pollard reading out the Firearms and Hate Crime bill that I didn't particularly like that, but I still watched it. But anyway, apart from perhaps if you work in Hampshire Firearms Licensing where you've been tasked to watch this video, again, there's nothing stopping you from liking it. It would be greatly appreciated. But if you're watching this video, like it, because why are you watching? And if you want to tune in every single week and see the live streams and the other videos that we do, then hit that subscribe button. It does make a huge difference. But yeah, hit that like button. It's right there somewhere. Hit it. It's free. Really helps grow the channel, reach new people, all that and the like. If you don't like what you're seeing, I mean, you're welcome to stay, but I don't care. Some would say that I have a slight fascination on 3D printed firearms, mainly because my final year degree project was all around sort of cutting edge and bleeding edge 3D printed technologies, and of course liking 3D printing and liking firearms, they sort of go hand in hand, really. And again, I've been laughed at multiple times for suggesting that we're ever going to have an issue with 3D printed guns. Well, it's happening. So I said at the start of the stream, we've seen it in Spain, we've seen it in the UK, we've had the first conviction here in the UK, and now we're seeing it in Australia. Yes, I know it doesn't look particularly much, like it doesn't look very substantial, very finished, but that's what makes this so dangerous, but also so interesting, that you can sort of just cobble together something. I mean, of course, PA Lutty, basically cobbled together with a few general hardware pieces. Well, again, it's not a particularly high tech or expensive printer. Probably something you can just buy off of eBay, and they're making guns. So they did have rounds of ammunition. I'm trying to see what manufacturer of 3D printed firearm parts and other improvised firearms. Oh, an M16 style semi-automatic gel blaster. Well, that's not a weapon. Well, it is in Australia. A replica revolver, cannabis. Okay. Why is there always cannabis associated? Glock style gel blaster. But yeah, computers believed to contain instructions for firearm manufacturer, plastic firearm parts. Executed where officers allegedly found a 3D printer, semi-automatic rifle, boxes of ammunition, and 11 unfinished firearm barrels, firearm parts including silencers, scopes and lathes, hydraulic presses. Oh, maybe it's the hydraulic press channel. And other tools used in the manufacture of 3D printed firearms. A 45-year-old man is going to prison for a very long time. Like, this isn't, I know there's a lot of people, you know, don't stop the signal, and there's a lot of people that are very pleased that we're seeing this. I don't know if I am. Like, in one way, it's sort of a great example of why gun laws can be very ineffective. Because when somebody can go and buy a 300 quid printer, sit it on their desk, download and print, again, how do you prevent that? How do you stop that? Right? But on the other hand, it means that criminals are going to have greater, freer, untraceable access to firearms. I'm not saying they don't have that already. Just don't want it to become any easier. You know, and the thing that, for me, that is the scariest part about 3D printed firearms ending up in criminals' hands is that they are completely untraceable. Like, you know, of course, they remove serial numbers, this, that, and the other usually, but you can just melt it down. You know, it's going to be very hard, and because it's so cheap and so easy to make, they can be disposable. Criminals, yes, once a gun has been used in a crime, they want to dispose of it and get rid of it because it's a hot gun. But we see guns used multiple times within crime over and over again. But the you know, being able to print one, being able to print a 3D printed firearm and just, you know, for pennies, dispose of it. So yeah, bit of an update on that. But yeah, so that sort of brings us to the conclusion of this evening. But before you go, I'll say it again, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed. Yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on the bill. As we've said, it is quite likely that that it doesn't go any further, that we don't see any new restrictions come in. I do quite strongly feel that we're going to see an increase in fees, something that's not insignificant, but we'll have to see where it goes. Oh, Anthony, do you think that MPs will try and ban pump action gel blasters? I wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, I'm going to call it there. As I've been doing a lot of DIY, there's a lot of tidying up to do. Those sort of, what are they called? The HSS drills with the chisels on them. They're really good fun, but I've had this ringing in my ear for quite a while now. But yeah, I've got to go and do some tidying and maybe some reconstruction for the deconstruction that I've done. But a huge thank you, everyone, for joining in. I have noticed there's been a lot of people tuning in. This might even have set the record for the best stream. I have to check my records for that. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, we're almost on 200 likes. Go on, hit the 200 likes. Let's go on, just do it. I don't think have we ever got 200 likes before on a live stream. I don't know. It'd be good to go on. We've got 2 more to go. I'm not going until I see 200, and then I mean, that's not much of an incentive because then I'm going to fuck off. But do it. But yeah, so notice obviously a lot of you interested in this subject. Let's hope it doesn't go any further, but we will be monitoring it closer. So if there's any updates, certainly on the second reading, if it does look like it's going to have an impact, then we will 100% be updating you on that. And I may even still do a dedicated video on it, just as, you know, more concise version of a hour-and-a-half live stream. 209. You guys are awesome. I mean, 300. Can we go for 300? Oh yeah, on the note of previous challenges for likes, we're getting closer and closer to starting the process of showing you guys you know, current topics in terms of 3D printed firearms. We are getting closer. I haven't forgotten it. I will be doing at some point a series of videos of showing you how you can legally 3D print a firearm. No, I'm not going to be showing you how you can do it. That's very dangerous. I'm going to show most what YouTube will allow me to show of the process of making and also proofing a 3D printed firearm within the UK. But yes, it's been a great evening. Again, a big thank you for tuning in and joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Have a fantastic week ahead. I hope you get loads of shooting in, whatever triggers you want to pull, whatever disciplines you take part in. But have a fantastic week. Thanks for joining. Hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and of course, as always, I hope to see you soon.